Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering woke banks threatened with shutdown over banning customers. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from business news, Florida Chief Financial Officer Petronas says state ready to debank the banks. From the Capitalist, DeSantis signs anti-ESG bill bans social credit scores. And it's not just Florida. From Fox News, 21 states threaten banks with legal action over woke policies. From Fox Business, Oklahoma bans more than a dozen woke banks from doing business with the state. From Business News, Florida CFO Petronas says state ready to debank the banks. Florida Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Petronas announced last week that the state is trying to protect consumers from the leftist policies of liberal bankers. Petronas said in a recent press release that 117 banks throughout Florida signed an agreement not to discriminate against their customers because of politics. And Petronas has been really harsh with these guys. From Bloomberg, Florida's money man threatens to cut ties with Bank of America and Wells Fargo. A new law could blacklist big banks in the Sunshine State. Florida has $36 billion in public deposits in private banks. Petronas says, quote, "I desire economic freedom for all Floridians, and we cannot afford it as leadership in Washington fails to protect citizens from political targeting. Florida remains a safe haven for freedom, where citizens can rest assured they will not face discrimination from our financial institutions." According to the CFO's office, the bank's pledge dates back to last year when Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill regarding financial institutions seeking to become qualified public depositories or QPDs in the state. QPDs are banks that can legally accept funds transferred by agencies under state or local governments. The reason that banks care about things like this is because it's literally billions and billions of dollars, not just coming in once, but constantly flowing through their system. They love getting cash deposits. House Bill 3, which DeSantis signed last year, says a bank can be disqualified as a QPD if the bank engages in, quote, unsafe and unfair practices that include excluding customers because of politics, religion, or other factors. This includes canceling services based on personal beliefs. So this becomes like a social credit score, but for the banks, rather than the banks being able to put a social credit score on their customers. Either the government is going to control the banks, or the banks are going to control the people and the government. In Florida, they got it right. DeSantis' office noted at the time that Florida was leading a group of about 20 states that had allied to oppose the proliferation of ESG policies. Quote, "In Florida and across the country, we have heard from law-abiding small business owners and consumers who have been denied access to financial services because of where they work or whom they trust," DeSantis said. Quote, "Through this legislation, Florida will continue to lead the nation against big banks and corporate actors who have colluded to promote ideologies in the global marketplace without regard for the financial interests of the beneficiaries." Petronas' office said QPD must certify that they are in full compliance with the requirements of the law. This is big business for such banks. A state database identifying current QPDs reports that 117 banks hold about $34 billion of public money and assets right now. The list ranges from small local banks like Bank of Belgrade to Wall Street's largest banks like Bank of America, Citibank, and Wells Fargo. Quote, "With the continued growth of environmental and social governance intrusions in our economic institutions, I'm extremely pleased to see the positive impacts of HB 3, Petronas said in a statement. Quote, "These 117 QPDs have officially committed to prioritizing returns over politics. They understand that if they deny banking to customers of political persuasion, they are jeopardizing their own bottom lines. Since this law took effect, banks have contacted us to say that they reject the raise and that they are prepared to take action if any bank reneges on its commitment to Florida," they said. "I am proud that we now have these types of safeguards in place that will allow Floridians to do what they want with their hard-earned money without having to worry about sudden denials or cancellations of services. And if your bank cancels you and you're running a business, it's extremely inconvenient. It's bad personally, but it can be devastating for a business and a tremendous amount of hassle." Coming from the Capitalist, DeSantis signs anti-ESG bill bans social credit scores. This is the bill in Florida that became law that gives the authority to the Chief Financial Officer of Florida to push around the banks. Governor Ron DeSantis signed a piece of legislation into law that prevents fiduciary managers from using the consideration of ideological factors in state investment decisions. The measure, House Bill 3, prohibits consideration of environmental, social, and governance standards in investing government money. The bill also prohibits banking institutions from using, quote, social credit scores in making financial lending decisions. The bill's signing expands on a directive issued last year by DeSantis and state cabinet members requiring investment decisions in the Florida Retirement System Defined Benefit Plan to prioritize the highest returns without considerations of ESG standards. The move comes a month after Joe Biden vetoed a federal bill that would have prevented fund managers from utilizing ESG standards. Quote, we want to have an economy that's based on value, that's based on the best interests of beneficiaries if you're talking about a pension fund. And we don't want to have an economy in which these businesses are taking all these positions on political issues or using shareholder assets to advance an ideological agenda, said DeSantis. Ostensibly, the legislation does not stop fund managers from investing in companies that use such standards, but prevents them from being able to base investment decisions on issues such as climate change and social diversity. ESG investing is the practice of investing in firms or funds that seek market rate financial returns while also targeting beneficial social or environmental impact, according to woke propaganda. The ratings can involve a wide range of issues and investments such as companies' climate change vulnerabilities, carbon emissions, racial inequality, and supply chain labor standards, among others. Quote, on the surface, we have this great egalitarian movement of the middle class investing in 401ks or retirement assets, which means everybody has a little piece of America's greatest corporations, said House Speaker Paul Renner, who took on HB 3 as a legislative priority. Quote, but that is not what's happening because the people at the top are not voting with your beliefs. Critics, however, contend that enacting the bill into law will cost the state money and hinder investment decision-making. During committee deliberations, Senator Tina Polsky claimed that studies have shown the change would cost the state $97 to $300 million in additional interest charges on municipal bonds, while Senator Lori Berman questioned why the state would want to cut itself off from companies like BlackRock, which she said has made tremendous returns through investments using ESG standards. Meanwhile, Senator Jason Pizzo referred to the bill as incredibly laughable, stating that it would lead to a really bad financial condition. Last year, state officials divested $2 billion worth of assets under management by BlackRock in response to the asset manager's backing of ESG strategies. Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Patronis announced that his department froze approximately $1.43 billion worth of long-term securities and removed BlackRock as the manager of approximately $600 million worth of short-term overnight investments. BlackRock managed $1.43 billion of Florida's long-duration portfolio, which manages investments such as corporate obligations, asset-backed securities, and municipal bonds. Unlike the externally managed portfolios, which are managed by 12 different asset managers, BlackRock exclusively managed the Treasury's $600 million short-term investment fund, which is a cash sweep vehicle it used to assist long-duration, intermediate-duration, and short-term duration managers in managing their cash on a daily basis. Here's what this House Bill 3 law actually covers. House Bill 3 combats government and corporate sanction activism by codifying actions taken by the State Board of Administration at Governor DeSantis' direction, codifying actions taken by the State Board Administration at Governor DeSantis' direction to ensure that all investment decisions must be driven solely by pecuniary factors and may not sacrifice investment returns to promote factors like ESG, and extending these requirements to all state and local funds, prohibiting the use of ESG factors by state and local governments when issuing bonds, including a contract prohibition on ratings agencies whose ESG ratings negatively impact the issuer's bond ratings, prohibiting all state and local entities from considering or giving preference to ESG as part of the procurement and contracting process, prohibiting banks that engage in corporate activism from holding public deposits as a qualified public depository, prohibiting financial institutions from discriminating against customers for their religious, political, or social beliefs, including their support for securing the border, owning a firearm, and increasing our energy independence, prohibiting the financial sector from considering so-called social credit scores in banking and lending practices that aim to prevent Floridians from obtaining loans, lines of credit, and bank accounts, and directing the Attorney General, Chief Financial Officer, and Commissioner of Financial Regulation to enforce these provisions to the fullest extent of the law. And it's now multiple states taking on these woke banks. From Fox News, 21 states threaten banks with legal action over woke policies, say to stay in your lane. A coalition of 21 state attorneys general sent a stark warning to dozens of financial institutions and asset managers, warning them against pursuing woke environmental and social initiatives. In a letter sent to 53 of the nation's largest financial institutions, which collectively manage trillions of dollars worth of assets, the attorneys general threatened to take legal action if the firms veer off the best interests of their clients while pushing social priorities. The effort, led by Montana, Utah, and Louisiana, comes ahead of proxy season, during which most companies hold annual shareholder meetings where they vote on key policy initiatives. Quote, this ESG nonsense is filtering into a lot of our states, and the way they're doing it is really concerning and probably flagrantly illegal, according to Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen. Pushing it through these asset managers and through these proxy votes is extremely concerning. The message is, stay in your lane and do what you're supposed to do. You have a fiduciary obligation under various states' laws to maximize investment. That's your job. That's what you're supposed to be doing. We're aware of state law, and if it needs to be, we will defend our state pensioners against anything outside that lane. The letter obtained by Fox News Digital stated that in recent years, large asset managers, which hold majority stakes in major publicly traded companies, have used client assets to change companies' behavior to align with so-called environmental, social, and governance standards. Critics, including attorneys general, state treasurers, the energy industry, and consumer advocacy groups, have accused ESG-focused asset managers of sidestepping their legally mandated fiduciary duty of looking out for the well-being of clients whose money they manage. Quote, you are not only bound to follow the general laws discussed above, but also have extensive responsibilities under both federal and state laws governing securities. Broadly, those laws require you to act as a fiduciary in the best interest of your clients and exercising due care and loyalty. Simply put, you are not the same as political or social activists, and you should not be allowing this vast savings entrusted to you to be commandeered by activists to advance non-financial goals. The attorneys general took particular issue with ESG practices that push aggressive climate policies, which opponents have argued would hamper the fossil fuel industry and increase consumer energy prices. The letter highlighted that asset managers participate in Climate Action 100+ and have joined the Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative. The two associations require members to make certain climate commitments. For example, the NZAM requires members to accelerate the transition towards global net zero emissions and for asset managers to play our part to help deliver the goals of the Paris Agreement. NZAM members also commit to implement a stewardship and engagement strategy with a clear escalation and voting policy that is consistent with their ambition for all assets under management to achieve net zero emissions by 2050 or sooner. And the Climate Action 100+ initiative seeks commitments from boards and senior management to reduce greenhouse gas emissions across the value chain via net zero commitments. None of this is financially defensible, the attorneys general stated in their letter. Instead, it is a transparent attempt to push policies through the financial system that cannot be achieved at the ballot box. Knudsen added that he was concerned ESG policies would ultimately harm Montana residents by reducing their energy options and hiking prices. Quote, Montana's a northern state. It gets really cold, he told Fox News Digital. We can't heat our homes with rainbows and fairy dust. That's basically what we're talking about here when we're talking about solar or wind power. When it's 40 below in February in Montana, the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow. We've got 1 million people to keep warm, so we have to have reliable energy, he said. And Montana is an energy-producing state. We do produce oil, we do produce natural gas, and we do produce some of the highest quality coal in the world. So I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. Knudsen noted that New York-based BlackRock, one of the asset managers addressed in the letter, owns a 25% stake in Northwestern Energy, Montana's largest regulated utility company. BlackRock, which alone manages more than $8 trillion, has explicitly leveraged client funds to push green transition policies to combat global warming. In 2021, the firm's CEO Larry Fink said that pension funds, foundations, and endowments, quote, should have a loud voice with fossil fuel companies to move forward. The letter also warned against taking certain actions promoting race and gender quotas or abortion. More than 20 abortion-related proxy measures have been proposed this year, more than every other year combined, according to the shareholder advocacy group As You Sow. In addition to BlackRock, the letter was sent to Franklin Templeton, Goldman Sachs, HSBC, Invesco, JP Morgan, State Street, and dozens of other asset managers. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.